A lot has worked, obviously, since Election Day, but not everything. And by not everything, I don't mean things like staples or utilities. I mean things like Microsoft, for example, which is up, but only up 2% since the election. So that looks weak relative to some of the other gains that we've seen. I bring that up because you trimmed it. Which I thought was a pretty interesting move. Why'd you do that?
Well, it's just clearly not the leader right now. And I'll extend that to say that the Mag 7 in general is not the leader right now. You can look at Apple as another name in that space. But I also want to say that the Mag 7 should no longer be looked at as a monolith that moves together. There are different forces. There's different business models in there. But just to go back to Microsoft specifically, I think at this point in time, everything that we think we're going to know about AI has to be priced in. This is a good, year and a half, 2 years since ChatGPT really hit the ground running. I'm sorry, about a year, a little over a year. At low 30s multiple, I think it's all priced in. And I'm not selling the name entirely because I think as the market goes up, something like this, which is a huge part of the overall market, is going to benefit from passive flows. But there are other areas of the markets that are working really well right now. And Shannon, you alluded to the broadening of the market. Think about industrials. Think about financials. Think about things that haven't worked as well, but probably will. And I'll put healthcare in that category.
You said that they're not going to, be viewed as a monolith anymore. But you spoke of them as the monolith when you say, well, AI is all priced in, because you could think that maybe it's priced in for Microsoft, but there are many suggestions that it's not priced in even to NVIDIA, which reports next week, right? So you can't have it both ways. If it's not going to trade like a monolith, then don't refer to everything as a monolith in terms of what's priced in and what's not, because there are standouts, ones that are still suggested to be that, and then ones that where, in fact, maybe some of it is priced in.
So let me be clear. I don't think they're a monolith, both in terms of different businesses, so that, for instance, Netflix is not the same business as Microsoft. But your point, I think, is excellently made.
Netflix is not one of the Mag 7s. No. Nor is it. Why'd you pick Netflix?
Okay, you want to pick Tesla? I mean,
well, no, I'd like to pick one of the hyperscalers
right
for AI. Let's talk
guys,
apples and apples.
All right, you don't need a 2-on-1.
Let's talk apples and apples.
Okay, let's talk apples and apples. I will grant you, I think NVIDIA is fairly priced here, and I'm not trimming NVIDIA. I will also tell you I'm not trimming Alphabet right here, another AI name, because I think at the valuation, it's absolutely underpriced, and I think that's a name you can add to here. So if you want to stay within the AI space, absolutely, there are names that I think are not going to move symbolically with each other. I think Microsoft, and we've already seen it, right? We've already seen, look at NVIDIA versus Microsoft. They're not trading the same, and they're not going to trade the same. Look at Oracle versus Microsoft.
I think Amazon through the end of the year is the one name
of the
Mag 7 that will outperform
it's a record high today, by the way, for Amazon.
I think you're seeing a rebuilding of positioning, and momentum again as a factor there is being applied very strongly.